Hey everybody, we are less than a week away from our kickoff party at CBC in Nashville. If you're going to Nashville, you need to be at Jackalope Brewing Company this Sunday. That's May 7th, 7 to 9 p.m. And I apparently can't talk today. I'm so excited. 7 to 9 p.m. for our Welcome to Nashville party. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a car smash. And yes, it's exactly what you think. There is going to be a junk car for you to take sledgehammers to. If you experience this in Minneapolis, you know it was a wonderful time. If you've never done it before, get excited. Now, huge thanks to Arryved POS, Beer 30 by the Fifth Ingredient, Craft Brewing Insurance, Full Pour Media, Market My Brewery, Plato, and Pro Brew Supply, and Jackalope Brewing Company for all your support and help with this. It's taking a team to put it together, and it's going to be an awesome time seeing everybody face to face. But now we've got one final panel to get you excited for this Sunday. So let's start with some introductions. Bryant, because you are to the right of me, tell everybody a little bit about what you do in the world of beer.
Sure. Yeah, Bryant Vander, founder, creative director of Full Pour Media. So we're full service creative agency that's specifically focused on the craft beverage industry. So we'll be out there, chatting with all the folks and raising a couple glasses. And we're going to be working kind of with the BA during the conference to shoot some video content and really get all that promotional stuff out there.
Well, Bryant, can't wait to see you face to face. Loren, you're up.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Loren Bendele with Arryved POS, and we are the craft beer focused POS, focused on flexibility, power, and great customer service, and really, really excited about next week.
And this will be your third CBC?
Yes. This is my
third. They blur together at this point, don't they?
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time. Lisa, our host.
Hey, I'm Lisa Noyes. I'm the marketing director at Jackalope Brewing Company here in Nashville. We've been around since 2011, brewing legendary beer, and we're the third oldest craft brewery in Nashville. So we're super excited to be hosting you all for CBC here in just a few days.
Lisa, how close are you to the convention center?
We're about 1.5 miles, so it's definitely walkable. It's a pretty straight shot from the convention center to our brewery.
Yeah,
so
that's an easy walk.
There's good spots along the way too. So.
And I want to thank you again, Lisa, because you originally reached out inviting us to host an event at your space. We're so excited to make this actually happen. So thanks again.
Yeah, me too. I attended CBC for the first time in 2021 in Denver and went to the event and had such a great time. I was like, I got to bring it to Nashville. We got to do this.
So in honor of that event, I'm actually wearing the shirt we had from that.
Yes.
That was a super weird time. And PK, I promise we'll get to you. But that was the event where so many of us were coming together for the first time. It's where I met Bryant for the first time face to face. I had no idea how tall he was or how
tall man.
You'll find out in Nashville. But that event had been a little bit since we've all been face to face. So we had spent so much time building relationships on the internet. And that was a very crowded tap room at Jagged Mountain Brewery where we all, maybe hadn't met before, but it truly felt like we already had relationships and knew each other.
Absolutely. It was great.
So I'm excited to see you again in a larger, sunny setting.
Exactly.
Okay, PK, your turn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pulkit Agrawal. I'm the founder and CEO of The Fifth Ingredient. We bring the software system known as Beer 30. And so Beer 30 is an all-in-one data management software for breweries to track their data from raw material purchasing, brewing process, lab quality, sales, accounting, and future demand planning. So the entire supply chain process. And this is going to be my 6th CBC, I think. My first one was in Nashville, 2018. So Nashville, Denver, then COVID, then Denver, Minneapolis. So CBC number 5.
So last time you were in Nashville, PK, and Lisa, I'll let you chime in on this one too. And Brian, Loren, if you got any suggestions, where do I need to be planning to have a meeting or meal? Any hot spots I don't want to miss?
I don't know anything off the top of my head. That was my first CBC, and I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Like I was in that initial phase of just going with people that I was walking around with and some of our customers and things at that point. So yeah, I don't have anything. Lisa's the resident expert here on that one.
So everybody's listening. Lisa, what are your recommendations?
Well, if you're going downtown, really the local spot to go is Roberts. Everyone that is a local will say it. It's the true honky tonk downtown. It is still run with tourists, but it's more local than most of the spots. And I really enjoy Acme, which is down at the end of Broadway, right on the river. They have a beautiful rooftop, and it's again a really cool local spot. Also, Old Red has a good rooftop. So if you're downtown, those are the 3 that I like to go to. But otherwise, there's a new spot, 5th and Broadway, that has a food hall inside that has kind of a taste of Nashville, a little bit of everything. So you can go down there and try a little bit of the best of.
And where's that one located? Is that,
it's just a short walk from the convention center, right on 5th and Broadway.
That's a terrible joke. All right.
But yeah. And also, you know, come to Jackalope. We're going to have Hattie B's food truck out for pretty much the whole week, and a couple other really awesome local food trucks, the Mac Shack. So yeah, come on and hang out at our place.
Andrew, please tell me you were taking all those notes, because I wasn't.
But I have them on my other screen right now, PK. I'll make sure they have vegetarian options. We'll plan a great place to go for lunch.
There we go.
Yes.
Love it. So before we dive into CBC 2023, I want to talk about the past few years. You know, as my shirt shows, like, you know, it was a weird time when we all first met in 2021 in Denver, after spending so much time getting to know people across the internet, growing our businesses through the internet. Not as much human interaction as I know I crave. You know, for the four of you, how have you changed the way you build relationships over the past few years? Are there any noticeable differences in the way you connect with people, or strategies that you found really beneficial?
And I can say this, I started Full Pour in about 2020. So our infancy was, you know, meeting folks and networking, you know, via Zooms and via webinars and things like that. I mean, the first, what was it? I think it might've been, this was back when we were located in Denver. And there was the Colorado Brewers Guild had a conference that was all virtual. So it was just like attending webinars and everything virtually. So I think anything greater than that, anything beyond that has been, you know, quite a benefit. I mean, just to kind of walk up to folks' booths at CBC and kind of see them face to face is obviously 100 times more effective, or, you know, 100 times more effective at connecting.
Bryant, are there any skills you did gain from those virtual days that you kind of still utilize today?
Skills, I mean, definitely. I mean, just in my side of things, just networking, you know, staying in touch a little bit more, kind of knowing or learning really how many touch points you need with a client, like how many more touch points you need with a client when it's virtual versus when it's in person. It used to be like 5 to 7 touch points with a client. Now it's more like, you know, 7 to 10 to 12. So really just kind of keeping that in mind, and like, how can we be a little bit more creative and how we connect with folks, because we tend to be a little bit, all of us kind of hole away in our offices a little bit more now. So I certainly welcome those times to come back together.
Yeah, I'll second that. You know, nothing beats Zoom for banging out a bunch of meetings with people all over the country, or any, you know, streaming web service, but nothing beats face-to-face for building relationships. So love being able to get together with people face-to-face. I think always my strategy has been, when you are face-to-face, focus on the relationship and hanging out and getting to know each other on the human level, because you can always do business via email or phone calls later. But, you know, the human ape is a social animal. We like being around other people and hanging out. So if you get to do it in person, focus on that human side of things. And, you know, business, you can always follow up on that later, but when you're face-to-face, focus on that, focus on the person in front of you.
And face-to-face is truly taking the relationship to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. On my end, I think the biggest thing, we're always been a fully remote company. And so for me, it's actually really cool to see some of our international clients also come in. So last year, there was a full consortium from Australia that flew in, I think like 30 to 40 people, and some of our even partners on the business side, vendor side of things. So it's just really cool to be able to see people that you normally wouldn't see at these trade shows that fly in from international as well. So it's just really cool to connect with people on that level. And I know this year we have some of our other partners flying in from Europe, flying in from Australia. So it'll be great to finally meet those people in person. And Loren, like you were saying, it's really more about building that personal connection at this point, since you have been on so many Zoom calls and business and vendor meetings with them, that it's just great to grab a beer and just chat.
And Lisa, you're on the brewing side of things. You've probably had a very challenging few years, and you're still here, which is amazing. We can't wait to be there. But what are some of the strategies you picked up during pandemic times that have turned out to be beneficial, you know, strategies that you're still utilizing today?
Sure. Yeah. Well, in 2020, I think we put out 26 limited release beers just to get people coming back to the tap room. So, pretty much every week it felt like we had a new beer coming out, which really allowed us to be creative and do things we hadn't done before. And that was when I started at Jackalope. So it was fun to be kind of part of that creative. We were all coming up with names and styles and, images. It was all just such a collaborative time. But out of the pandemic, we took a lot of those ideas and built kind of a program around it. So we have our Shapeshifter series, which are variants of our most popular beers. And then we have our Legendary IPA series, which is, just some really delicious, juicy IPAs that we just really love. So it's been fun to be able to pivot basically a survival mechanism into a really successful program that we're excited about coming out of.
I haven't heard the word pivot in a while, so
had to throw it in there.
Now, PK, you mentioned Nashville was your first CBC quite a few years ago. Now you're back. You also talked about the ability to build relationships and see all your international partners face to face. I imagine you just don't show up to CBC sending people a text saying, "Hey, are you free right now?" How do you plan your week at CBC?
So at the booth side things, we have different shifts that are done with the people that are there. And so there's a full shift schedule. One of the biggest pro tips that I'll say is grab to go breakfast and lunch. And so we actually have people doing that this time around, because last year we learned the hard way because the food hall was just gone with food and the other lines were at least like an hour to grab food and stuff outside the convention hall. And so that's a pro tip for anybody going the first time of grabbing that like sandwich to go. So we have that planned out. We have booth schedules planned out. And then on my end with meetings, it's preset on calendar invites. Say, hey, let's like meet up at 1 p.m. Figure out where, but let's at least meet by this sign at 1 p.m. We'll text each other, but having those reserved spots in mind so that way we can actually meet up. And so at this point, I have dinner scheduled for Friday. I have breakfast for Saturday, lunch with Andrew on Saturday, team dinner on Saturday, and then Sunday morning starting off again with breakfast at 10 a.m. So just having all these meetings pre-set up so that way it's a success and you're not trying to scramble and trying to coordinate on the fly, because that just becomes very difficult at times to do.
So, you have all these meetings and you're still running a company. How do you make sure everything goes smooth while you're busy from 8 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night for almost a week straight?
Having the right people in place. And so it's been really cool to see our growth happen. I think first CBC, it was just me, and this was 2018, right? April 2018. So going back 5 years later, we're up to 22 people since it was just a one-person operation. So, I think, Andrew, that's just it. We have coverage plans in place for people on the engineering side, people on the customer experience side. All of our sales team will be on site. So at that point, they're just doing demos on site with people. And Zach, who's our head of revenue ops, he's been with the company for about a year and a half now. He is going to be pretty much running the show at CBC in terms of coordinating with the team members and scans and things. So it just comes out of having people that you can trust and helping them do their job successfully.
No, I love it. It's great insight there. Loren, how about you? Arryved also grown quite a bit over the past few years. How do you get ready for CBC?
I think exactly what PK said. It's a combination of setting up meetings ahead of time with folks that you want to meet with while you're there. This is an amazing show, right, for our industry. First of all, we work in the coolest industry on the planet. So being able to see everybody at once, there's so many people that go to this event. So making sure you set up meetings ahead of time, but then also leave a lot of room and space for serendipity. So hanging out at the booth for sure, because so many people come by. The parties and the events at night, it's just an endless sea of cool people that you want to talk to and that you can learn from. We spend a lot of time with our customers just getting feedback and tips from them on the next things to build and what they need. So to be able to have that many customers in one place and just a constant stream to be able to bounce ideas off of everybody, it is it's overwhelming, but in a good way, right? Just overwhelming in terms of the amount of ideas and input and features and energy that you get from it. It's fantastic. And like PK said, you have a great team that's staying behind and running the business. And so I sleep well at night knowing we've got this team ready to take care of the company and the team and the customers. So.
Loren, everything you just described takes me back to when we were at Woods Boss in Denver a couple of years ago, because we had that pre-CBC panel, which was a fantastic experience. But in that room, people were having beers. They were meeting people for the first time. Your team was meeting with Arryved breweries, kind of talking about the features, learning what they can do better. It was just amazing to see so many different types of relationships happen at the same time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wish there was, well, part of me wishes this and part of me doesn't know if I can handle it. I wish there was a few of these a year because it's so much fun and just a sea of people. But it's a marathon. I clear my plate from work completely, other than relationships and connecting with people while we're here.
Well, of course, you set me up for the plug there, Loren, because everybody should come to CBP Connects Milwaukee this June 19th to 21st, where a lot of the faces you see here today are going to be there, where we can build relationships in a little less hectic, more intimate interactive setting. So that'll be a step down, but step up, I think, for building relationships. Not quite as big, trust me. Now, Bryant, I want to come to you on this one because you have definitely a unique role in the industry. You're not going to CBC to have a booth. You're going to be bouncing around. You're going to be shooting footage. What does your schedule look like?
Well, we will have a booth someday. That is ultimately the larger purpose. But I think just being, this will be the second CBC that we've worked, actually been, the first one that I attended was in Denver and I lived in Denver. So it was just kind of like a, during the week thing, go down there and check it out. Yeah, we are a lot more kind of labor based. I mean, talking about building those relationships, getting those touch points, like I mentioned earlier. We're partnering with Turn It Up Media and Rhizome Productions, so we'll be out at that concert right outside of the convention center. At night, we'll kind of be putting in the labor, kind of shooting some video. We're putting in the touch points again, like I said, with the BA, kind of going around, and then secondarily to that, as I'm traipsing around the expo floor, I get to see people from Deutsche, I get to see people from Alfa Laval, I get to see, people from Corrosive, people that are our clients, but can kind of see us doing the work at the convention too. So it's an optics thing for us. Again, I certainly someday, right now it's myself, and then I have a large list of contractors that I build out that kind of keeps us nimble. But I certainly would love one day to have somebody kind of doing the labor while I, do the things that y'all are doing is kind of setting up those meetings and building those touch points, scaling to that way. So I can focus on, biz dev, and then I can have folks that I know and trust, kind of doing the content creation and more boots on the ground stuff. So yeah, certainly a unique experience for me as well.
Well, I'm sure you're going to capture a ton of great footage and build a lot of important relationships while you're there.
It's cool. I mean, it's just cool to see, like, go to the CBC website right now, and it's kind of like, the guy spinning the keg, and pretty much everything that's not stock footage is things that we've shot. So it's kind of a point of pride for us. It's a high visibility thing, and all of the promotional assets that show all the expo stuff from years ago and beer sloshing. And Luke, the creative director of the BA, is really great about just like, don't get generic stuff like, put a beer glass on top of the lens and then have the beer pouring in like this. He's really good at kind of like helping me kind of brainstorm, push those creative boundaries a little bit more. Like, we don't need more footage of people talking. What we need is some crazy looking this and that, or what's going to kind of set the BA apart visually from everything else. Same with,
I think you need PK smashing a car in a red tank.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna run like a super slow motion camera, super high speed camera, and just like, get the dramatic.
You stole my thunder on that one. I'm just gonna say, hey, can I volunteer for smashing a car at the Arryved party, and you taking that new profile photo for me for all my social media and LinkedIn and all of that of me smashing.
Yeah.
But let's dive into that for a minute, because it's all about creating those memorable moments. And Loren, when you all were out at the Florida Guild event, I think that week my feed was just so crammed with people holding a snake with an Arryved backdrop. How do you all create those photo-worthy events?
So that's our marketing team. I can take zero credit for that, other than being smart enough to work with great people. But they're just so creative and fun. I don't know where these ideas come from. I really don't, but they're good. I was sharing with, as I was sharing with all of y'all before we started, when we did the Smash Your Craft event last year in Minneapolis, and I showed up and I went to our head of marketing. And I was like, so what's this company that does, smashing cars? They do a really great job. They said, oh, no, there was no company. We just called up a junkyard, asked them if they'd deliver a a car here, and they did. And then we just put up the police tape and went and bought some sledgehammers from Home Depot, and totally made it all themselves. And the car was painted really creatively in a fun way as well. And our head of marketing's an artist, so she did that with spray cans. So yeah, just beautifully weird people in marketing who have creative and wacky ideas. I guess all I can say.
No, I love it. No, Lisa, you are our host. We're so excited to be at Jackalope. You're going to be showcasing your brewery to 10,000 of our best friends from across the country next week. How in the world do you prepare Jackalope for this?
Well, I can tell you we had meetings starting about a year ago. We started talking about planning for CBC. But when the last time CBC was here, we were in our old space on 8th Avenue, which was a lot smaller, a little bit closer to the convention center, but definitely not the beautiful state-of-the-art facility we're in today. So we're excited to show it off. We just did some revamp of our patio, and we're just so excited to finally be able to show off the space that, we kind of teased last CBC. I think we had some tours coming through and did a few little events with partners, but now that the place is put together, and we're really excited to share it with all of you. I'm not sure how I'm going to schedule my entire week. I'm still piecing it together. It's going to be a little nutty. I'm a marketing team of one, so content creation, socials, everything. So we'll see how it goes.
One thing that really impressed me, Bailey was on our call last week from the Jackalope perspective. She was talking about how important it was for her to have your team actually attend the session, which I think is absolutely amazing, because in Denver and Minneapolis, so often the host breweries in that city, I felt like their teams were just stuck working. I honestly felt a little bad because, we're sharing their space, enjoying it, but they're working behind the bar. So
absolutely,
are you getting the opportunity to come to CBC and enjoy any of the sessions yourself?
I think so. We're still fitting all of the pieces together for our team. I posted a funny meme of, the guy from It's Always Sunny, where he's got like the strings attaching, like that was us the other day, trying to piece everybody's schedule together. But yeah, I'm planning on being at the trade show and going to a couple seminars and just saying hello to all of our partners. And I'm excited to kind of experience the full CBC. The last time I was at CBC was 2021. It was a little bit more scaled back. So I'm excited to experience it fully and in our home city.
So for breweries and, future host cities for CBC, I know we'll be in Vegas next year. What tips do you have for them that are things that surprised you that they should pay attention to? Any pro tips?
Oh man. You can plan as far ahead as you can, but really things will come down to the wire last minute. I mean, that's this industry, right? A little bit. We've had so many things come together in the last couple of weeks that we've been planning for all year, but it's down to the wire. So plan to be nimble, plan for plan B, and C and D, but hope that it'll all go as planned and everything that you hoped and dreamed it would be will come together. So.
And how many events are you hosting at Jackalope that week?
I think it's about half a dozen to a dozen. I think it's between like 6 and 10. But yes, we'll have a lot of events. We're doing the Cicerone level 2 exam. We're having a happy hour for them. The pink boots are going to come out. We've got a lot going on, but really most excited about Sunday night, to be honest.
Sunday night's going to be great. So how do you stay organized with all these events? Do you have like just Google Docs for each? Do you use some sort of task management? How do you make sure everybody knows what they need to do to get prepared for it, but during the event, then recapping the event to look at it, see if it was a success?
Yeah, we have a massive Google spreadsheet currently, but we do use like a 7 shifts internal communication system as well for our scheduling, mostly for our tap room team. But we're all pretty connected, and we're a small enough team that we can group text and stay in touch that way. We're lean and mean over here, so we're able to do a lot with Google Docs and texts, honestly.
Well, I'm excited to make the event together a success. Now, I'd like to really go back to what everybody's goals are for CBC. We've talked a lot of high level. Everybody says we're here to build relationships. But, Lisa, you're a brewery. The 3 of you others, Bryant, Loren, and PK, you're running companies you're trying to grow. What are some of your personal and professional goals for the next few days once we arrive in Nashville?
Yeah, for me, first and foremost is listen and learn. Again, we have so many of our customers and future customers in one spot. So listen, learn, understand what they need, understand how we can be a better partner. And and then meet as many people as possible. We bring a lot of people from our team to talk, and not just salespeople, but engineers, and again, get everybody listening and learning. Make sure we're at a lot of places and throughout the entire event to meet as many people as possible. And then we're always looking for unique partnerships as well. It's a great industry. I think it's one of the most collaborative industries I've ever worked in, where competitors help each other, right? For the most part, right? And so talk to everybody and see what we learn about the industry, how we can work together, how we can help this industry. I firmly believe it's the coolest industry I've ever worked in. So how can we support the industry? And then good things happen if you focus on that.
Well, thanks for sharing that. PK, how about you? Lots, as I mentioned, has changed since your first CBC. What are your goals like this time versus when you first went to Nashville?
My biggest priorities at this point are maintaining and building really cool customer relationships. So for me, I just love talking to our current customers, and I kind of let the sales team handle the new prospects that are coming in and demoing them out. And so for me, it's just about meeting those people that I've been working with for the last couple of years, even the last few months, and really building that relationship with them. And this year, kind of like Loren's aspect of marketing team, our team this year came up with a whole selfie competition, because I take selfies and people have seen this throughout social media for the last couple of years. And so we're going to be doing a selfie media challenge. And so having customers and prospects, whoever, take photos and post on social media. And every day there's going to be a prize with swag and discounts for Beer 30 and things like that. So it's a really cool way to just get engagement. So I'm also really excited of taking just selfies and photos with people and, prospects, current customers, partners. And it's just a really good way to make a lot of memories. And so I think that's on the personal side, where this community has done so much for me from a standpoint of just making friends. And, Andrew, you and I met virtually back in 2020, right at the start of COVID. And so it's really cool to
I feel like it was before 2020.
Right before COVID, yeah. 2019. And it's cool to kind of see that come together, and us having those people that it's just like you see somebody, give them a big hug and, chat with them about it. It's just really great to have that energy. And so every year CBC gives me a lot of energy going into the rest of the year of just kind of what the goals are and kind of what the community thinks of us and how we can be better. And so, like Loren said, learn and listen is definitely a key aspect here as well, and just chat with as many people as possible.
And we're going to circle back to that energy and momentum shortly. Bryant, talk to me about your CBCs. How have your goals changed over time?
That's a great question. I to just parrot everybody else, like I have, I think that listening and learning thing, I didn't really even have kind of a word for it until right now, but that is kind of a great, I was just sort of, again, in Denver, I was an observer. I didn't work at all. I had a media pass through porch drinking. So I was very much an observer. And then, now kind of, last year sort of being more behind the scenes, and this year even a little bit more. It's easier, I feel like, to partner with, folks that I've already partnered with and say, hey, here we are, we do great stuff, let's do it again. Luke's down, the Turn It Up guys are down. We're going to be doing video production for the Crushies this year too. So just that is kind of more maintaining existing relationships, but I certainly want to grow on the creating new relationships as well. It's a little bit more difficult, again, being a one person team, like covered in sweat, holding a camera and, passing my business card. It's not the greatest look, but it kind of is, because I'm busting my ass everywhere. So it's certainly a growth edge, kind of a learning edge of like, okay, here's how, here's kind of what I want to do. I mean, I would certainly say that a goal in the future is to, like I mentioned earlier, really just grow a little bit more and be able to go to CBC and have somebody that I know that can maybe help me with biz dev while I shoot video, or they shoot video while I do biz dev, or we kind of collaborate on those things. That's certainly, a little bit more of maybe an internal business goal, scaling goal that really would benefit for things like CBC and CBP Connects.
Bryant, you literally are looking at CBC through a lens, and that gives you a super neat perspective of what's going on. I mean,
and back pain and foot pain and everything else. Yeah.
And that sweaty business card you gave me a few years ago.
Yeah.
But looking at all your experiences through your unique perspective, have there been any moments that really stood out to you? Just, they could be brief interactions you witnessed between two people, or something, some small detail that the BA puts together that just impresses you. Is there anything that you've caught that most people may not catch but impresses you about the skill of the event?
I'll tell you, I think they pretty much rented out the entire convention center last year. I mean, like there was the expo, and then we almost had to walk so far that you couldn't hear anything anymore. They had pretty much the whole damn place rented out just for support staff, and the volunteer check-in area, and go grab your t-shirt and do all this, and kind of like the catering side of things. I mean, I really like kind of being, I've come up in this business and other businesses being behind the scenes. So it's something that I think just naturally gravitate toward. So it is something that maybe didn't stick out to me as much. And I'm like, okay, now that you asked me that, folks really don't see kind of the giant boxes of credentials in the back, and, people that are sitting in this room waiting to check people in, that are so much a crucial part of the support staff that nobody ever sees them. So it is really cool to kind of see, or like going into the not the expo hall, but kind of whether it's the World Beer Cup or GABF, before anybody even comes in, and just kind of like, this is about to be full of people, and like this, there's all these trophies that are just kind of like lined up along the stage there. And Luke, you mean to shoot them all looking nice, but I'm like, these breweries' lives or livelihoods are about to change. Like this is kind of like history in a way. Those are two really kind of watershed, kind of standout moments for me, especially of last year. I mean, just being so much more involved.
Thanks for sharing that. I think the before and after is fascinating to look at. And last week's conversation was talked about how you come to the trade show the day before, when all the exhibitors are kind of just first putting together the booths, and you come back 24 hours later, you have 1,000 booths ready to rock and roll. And it's so impressive to see it come together from just a logistics perspective. Now, Lisa,
a lot of scissor lifts, just lifting stuff up, and it's just so much labor.
100%. No, Lisa, you're going to have a very, very busy week. Your brewery is going to be showcased to industry professionals from all over. What type of debrief do you have planned, or will you do, following CBC, to look at all the events you did, how your operation went, to kind of look at whether it was a success, what you learned from it? What's that look like from the Jackalope perspective?
Yeah, well, I know that there's a masseuse coming. That's what I hear for our team after. So I think that day will be the nice decompress physically for everyone. But yeah, I think, just these meetings that we've been having for the last year, just really looking back and seeing, from the beginning, from the kind of origins of what we imagined CBC in Nashville to look like, to what it actually came to be. I'm really excited to see kind of how that is similar, because I think we have really accomplished a lot just in the last year of planning. But yeah, I'm just excited to actually see people again, like people that do what I do at other breweries. I'm really excited just because I'm a team of one, and I don't get to really brainstorm the things that I do with a lot of people. So I'm excited to just talk to other folks, that do what I do at other breweries. I think that's my favorite part. And I know I didn't get to answer that earlier, but I just wanted to throw that in there. So holler at me if you do marketing at a brewery anywhere in the country. I want to talk to you.
You nailed it. It's all about talking to others just like us, which I absolutely love. Now, one thing you mentioned, Lisa, is, and I know your staff's greatly going to appreciate that, who's coming by after CBC, but that kind of brings up the question of motivation. It's going to be a really busy week for all of us next week. Our team is going to be exhausted. We're going to have a ton of fun. But how do you all keep everybody motivated to be the best they can be, to be the best representatives, whether you're a company, whether you're a brewery? How do you keep your staff excited to be there?
Oh, I know we're going to have a snack station. I think that's definitely the biggest thing for us is food. It's the way to everyone's heart. But we're also doing some themed days. We have some amazing new colorful overalls for our team. So we'll be rocking those all over town if you see us.
Are they branded Jackalope overalls?
They literally have jackalopes in every color all over them.
PK, she beat you. You don't have overalls.
Yeah, they're incredible.
So we should chat about that for next year and getting 30 overalls. I'm totally
But yeah, I think those theme days and snacks. That's our plan.
PK, how about you? How do you keep your team motivated, of course, across the week?
We have every morning we have like a debrief session. Afternoon, like after the trade show's done that evening, we have a debrief session. Overall, it's kind of, I think, what I've learned over the years is that as the team grows that's going to CBC, just people have different needs, and just being very cognizant of it. Where there are very few things that are required for people to attend in the evenings, and so it's like we have our team event on Wednesday night before people start flying out, and we have our Sunday night welcome reception Jackalope, but Monday and Tuesday, kind of keep it very open-ended so that if people want to go to different events, there's literally so many things happening, or if people just want to chill and like have dinner with, another team member or something and just go home after. So I think that gives people the proper way of recharging based on whether they're introverted, extroverted, what they want to do. And so it feels like that's been a really good balance over the last couple of years as we've had more people than just myself and Ryan, for example, going to CBC.
I love that, PK. I was thinking about that exact same thing. Like I'm either an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. Like I got my time and then I'm like, I'm done, So I got an Airbnb that's a block or two, from the convention. And I'm certainly looking forward to kind of being on and everything. But again, team of one, business of one, essentially, taking that time. I've done the other way. Right. And I'm like, all but burnt out. So this year, just kind of moving more into that, I don't want to say mental wellness, but just kind of, again, making space for myself and just, especially with the industry that we're in too, it's easy to like, oh, now they got beer, it's 4:00 and I have a couple beers here and a couple beers here and a couple beers there. And it's easy to, just this is in the name of networking, whatever it is. But just, it's been, again, another growth edge for me, like learning to like, all right, tonight is hot chicken and water night, whatever that looks like. Let's just do what Bryant wants to do tonight, and then we'll be back on tomorrow. So I love that you said that, PK.
Yeah, that mental health and mental well-being is huge for sure. And definitely, figuring out when to tap out and when to say, cool, like, hey, no harm in it. Just gonna go chill and get back at it tomorrow morning, fresh and ready to rock it for sure.
One thing I liked so much about CBC in Minneapolis was so many of the breweries had non-alcoholic options. And for me, that was kind of a game changer because I didn't have to have even just a light lager in my hand at all times. I could have something that had 0.5 ABV. That way I just stayed at a better place. And that was very great. Another event I went to recently in Pittsburgh, I simply alternated beer, water, beer, water, beer, water. And, you tell yourself you're going to drink lots of water, but raise your hand if you actually drink lots of water. Right. No hands are up right now. So I was more intentional about it. And one thing that actually helped me at that event, everybody in the circle that I was spending time with, we all got on each other about it. So I think having those around you support you is huge as well.
We do have a really great sparkling water here at Jackalope. It's a local sparkling water called Maypop, and it's delicious. So
that's a great name.
Alternate. That's definitely your go-to. But we've got root beer and kombucha and lots of non-alcoholic options for folks that don't want to pound 12 beers.
I'm glad you didn't say 12% beers because that would be a terrible decision either way.
That kind of got us in trouble at CBP in St. Louis. We had those barrel aged beers, Andrew. We were like at the end of the night at was it Perennial? Talking about 12%ers, yeah.
It was actually 14.5 that we dove into after we shouldn't have had any more. But thanks, BK.
We cap out at 10.1 here in Tennessee, so.
There you go, 10.1. That's your upper limit.
Well, going from those high alcohol beers back to Loren, how are you going to keep the team, pumped for this week?
We don't have to. This team's always pumped, and it's like I said, I think we all feed off of the marketing team's energy and what they put into the event ahead of time. So it's just fun, and like I said, it's the coolest industry. I think what all you touched on is more important. How do you manage your energy and not have too much fun? I have a head of sales at a previous company in a different industry used to always say he always wants to have one less drink than his customers. I think it's a little tougher to do in this industry. You might want to shoot for a couple less. I use the same strategy you do: alternate beer, water, go to non-alcoholic beer. It is a marathon, and if you really want to have the energy, you got to manage that. And I really respected, Bryant, what you were saying too about knowing where you are in terms of introverted versus extroverted. We did a team event where we had everybody, do their Myers-Briggs beforehand, and we all talked about our profiles. And then afterwards, after we had dinner, and then after dinner, about half the group went for drinks and half the group said, I'm going to go back to the room. And as we were walking to the bar, we realized every single person going to the bar was the extrovert, without exception. And every single person that was an introvert was the one going back to their room. So knowing that and respecting that and appreciating that, I think, is super important.
Good tips there. Now I'm going to dive into something that everybody's probably going to have a different answer for. When we go to CBC, we're all going to leave with massive amounts of swag from all the partners in the trade show. You're probably going to have thousands of items you put in your backpack when you leave. But, when you're grabbing all this swag, we see the standard items, the koozies, the coasters, everything we've seen a billion times before. What have been the most unique swag items you all have experienced either at a past CBC, some other industry trade show? What has really stood out to you that you've actually held on to?
I know that the answer that I hear, I don't typically pick up swag, but I think I actually even asked it in the CBP group, Andrew, but hop grinders. It seemed to be a pretty standout.
That was a comment last week as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hop grinders. Arryved's got the socks. We kind of rode the coattails of Arryved. We've got like some full pour media socks as well, kind of taking cues from them. But I would say hop grinders and socks have been the standout for sure.
Honestly, I love the snacks. So like I think last year or 2 years ago, there was like a hot sauce made with hops that I was really into. There's always the Breeze malted milk balls. I'm into the snacks. So if you feed me, I'm into it.
I agree with that one. Love having a little food as I'm going through my day.
Yep.
Sorry, I wanted to jump back in real quick. One thing that I thought of that we actually built out is hangover kits. Going back to what we talked about, I've got like little full pour media brand. It's got Alka-Seltzer and Tylenol and everything. I probably won't have them again because we won't have a booth, but kind of like for the Missouri Guild and the Wisconsin Guild and the local guilds where we have tables, I want to do these, and I'm gonna bring them to CBP Milwaukee too, like hangover kits that just have all this pain relief stuff in them.
I love it. That's a great idea. PK and Loren, what's something cool you've seen?
We just do shirts, and we're not that cool in terms of unique things. Maybe in the future, the team has talked about it for a future CBC. To Bryant's point, I don't usually walk around picking up swag from other places either that often.
Yeah, thanks for the plug on the socks, Bryant. I love our socks are so ugly, they're cool, right? And then I'm surprised I don't see more people doing this because I always really appreciate it when I'm at a conference. People who have like mints, branded mints, because we got to talk to a lot of people, right? And kind of a nice thing to do for everybody to have a bunch of mints flying around.
I received some branded M&Ms at a recent event I went to, and I forgot about them till the drive home. And they were the perfect snack about halfway through. But then it got me thinking, I would love some bright yellow CBP branded mints or M&Ms. Like, how do I get those made?
From experience, those are expensive. Branded M&Ms are expensive. You always play that like value versus quality game, and it's a lot
out there.
Yeah, you're totally right on that one. I mean, you got to think about what's worthwhile, what should you be investing your money in, what's going to have the return on it versus just, hey, that would be kind of neat.
Right.
Well, everybody, we're going to be in Nashville together May 7th. At this Sunday, it's going to be 7 to 9 at Jackalope Brewing. I appreciate all of your support on this. It's going to be a great event. Lisa, I give you so much credit for pulling it together with the entire Jackalope team. I mean, your boots on the ground, your team is making it happen. We are so appreciative of all of you. And for everybody here today, I would love to just go around the circle once more. Any last thoughts, any last tip for getting ready for this week, any last shout out that you want to give? And Bryant, because you went first, the pressure's on you to take us out.
To kick it off. Yeah, the more, every single year things get a little bit more familiar for me. It's the same with, any large event that I go to, whether it's, I love going to music festivals or whatever. And the people might be a little bit different, but things look the same and they sound the same and they feel the same. So my comfort level kind of increases every year. So certainly looking forward to adding this notch onto our belt just in general. I mean, the experience in general, like I walked away from Minneapolis last year just feeling, again, exhausted and sore, but so gratified, so gracious, and certainly looking forward to building on that.
And Bryant, for anyone interested in learning more about what you do, how can they get in contact with you?
Fullpourmedia.com, or it's Bryant at Fullpour Media. My name written out that way on my little name tag right here. Yeah, Bryant at fullpourmedia.com. Otherwise, it's Fullpour Media on all the socials as well.
Awesome. Thanks again, Bryant.
These are.
I can go next. Get comfortable shoes. So if you have gel infused, I actually have like my working boots from when I was at a brewery, which have gel insoles in them. They're steel toed as well, which is great when you're walking around and you hit something or people step on you, things like that. I love my steel toe boots. So make sure you have that. And then one of the other big pro tips that I have is before all the craziness starts, just pop over to a CVS or Walgreens and just get a bunch of Gatorades and water for your room. That like when you come back at like 1 or 2 a.m. and you just have Gatorade sitting there, that is a game changer. You don't have to try and find it. So Gatorade and, to Lisa's point, snacks. So like bag of popcorn, some Chex Mix, something else just like sitting in the room waiting for you. I think those are the big 3 things that I make sure for any big conference. I have good shoes, food, and Gatorade water just sitting in the room.
No, PK, lots of great tips there. And one thing I've started thinking about with the weather report I've looked at today, Sunday is looking to be beautiful. So we're in luck for Sunday, but there's a chance of rain the other days. You know, when I go to an event like this, I'm always wearing just a branded t-shirt. I don't have any branded rain jackets or branded umbrellas. Do any of you have any tips preparing for events like this when we may have rainy conditions?
Well, we do have some branded Jackalope windbreakers at the ranch. So if you come Sunday and you're worried about the rest of the week, hit us up. We've got those. But you know, Nashville weather is so temperamental. It'll change like hour by hour. So honestly, I'm not even looking at the forecast until much later in the week. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled, plan for everything. And you know, if you bring your rain jacket and your umbrella, it's not going to rain. So
good takeaway there. Anything else you'd like to add, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to experience this with our team here in Nashville. You know, I went by myself in 2021, so I'm just excited to kind of roll in like a gang and be here with all my jackalopers. And yeah, we're just really excited to show off Nashville. I think our craft beer scene has just exploded over the last 5 years, and being one of the originals, it's been really exciting to see kind of the growth of the town and our industry here.
How many breweries are there in Nashville now?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't keep track anymore.
We track our area breweries these days. I remember when I could go to every brewery within 25 miles of me. Now I can't even name them all, unfortunately.
Yeah, I will add this plug too. We have the Music City Brew Hop is going to be doing a route from the Music City Center to our brewery on Monday and Tuesday. I think from noon to 5. Don't quote me on that. Follow us on socials to get the actual times when we announce it. But they will be doing that for all pass holders. So you can just hop on, hop off. I think there's 4 or 5 different breweries on the loop. So if you want to see a bunch of different spots during the day, yeah.
And Lisa, you had mentioned wanting to connect with other people in the marketing roles across the country. How can they contact you if they're listening today?
Yeah, it's just Lisa at jackalopebrew.com. Or if you follow us on social, send me a DM. It's always me.
Well, excited to see you in person again in just a few days. Now, PK, I forgot to give you the opportunity to share your contact info. If anybody's looking to learn more or just connect with you, how can they do so?
Yeah, I would say the5thingredient.com, THE, the number 5, TH, ingredient.com. You can also email me, PKA at the 5th Ingredient, 5th Ingredient on socials. And I'm also pretty active on the Craft Brew Professionals group. So if you just search for Beer 30, it'll come up and I'll probably have a post associated with that. So definitely check it out.
Awesome. See you on Sunday. And Loren, anything to take us out?
Yeah. One of the things I've always tried to do is think about a handful of questions I want to ask everybody. You know, what's the most interesting thing you're seeing in the industry right now? You know, if you were CEO of Arryved, what would you do differently, or what would you focus on? What are you thinking about for growth? And not just, you know, customers and potential customers, but partners and other people in the industry. I'm always amazed at where I get that gem from. You know, when I go to a conference, I think if I just leave with 1 or 2 things that I learned, it's going to help me do better work for my customers. Then that's time well spent, right? So just thinking about a handful of questions you might ask everybody, because you get in the flow of things, you get busy, and maybe you get off track, and maybe you wish you would have asked that to at least get what's on top of mind for, you know, most people. And I'm always amazed at what I get out of that. And then if you want to get in touch with me, it's pretty simple. Loren at Arryved.com, probably the fastest and easiest way to get me.
Well, awesome. Well, Bryant, Loren, Lisa, PK, I can't wait to have beers, have conversations, smash some cars with you all on Sunday at Jackalope Brewing. It's going to be a great time in Nashville. Everybody, you can go to smash.crappyprofessionals.org to make sure you're on the list. We'll see you there. And everybody have a successful CBC. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.